Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
And my favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
And Rossi.
All right, let's get started, shall we? Hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 154 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We've got another great show for you tonight. And of course, before we get started, let's welcome in my co-hosts. We've got Braggy in Adelaide, where it still looks pretty cold down there, Braggy. And we've got Rossi in Sydney, who's got some vocal challenges because of all the social media he's been doing. How are you, boys?
excellent.
Yeah, not too bad. Not
Curly.
too bad.
And we'll get it out of the way early. There'll be no show next week because there is a little game of football. I think Wednesday night where a blue team play a maroon team, and
Suncorp will get us home.
Let's hope
I think you'll find it's the good guys versus the bad guys.
Yeah. And depending on what side you are, you're either you could be both the good and the bad. Yes, and we're hoping for a Queensland win, but at the end of the day, I look at that Queensland side, boys, and we look old and slow. So
No, look, they're already giving a shit, Curly.
Yeah,
the New South Wales guys, they do it every time. They get so cocky, they're giving a shit, and then it'll all come crashing down on Wednesday night, and they'll be eating one another on Monday.
So I don't think, like Madge Maguire, I don't think of him as the smartest coach I've ever seen. Yeah, don't feed him red meat. It plays into the Queenslanders' hands.
Yeah, true. And of course, Rossi, we had the Roosters and the Dragons play on the weekend. And I must say, what a massive disappointment. I ran the Gold Coast Marathon Sunday morning and I came home to watch a game of football and I got delivered nothing.
I think by my calculation, the aggregate this year is 102-30.
I think you're right. And I think Jared, the boy, was primed for his 300,000th game and
300,000 Sid Binning.
Absolutely. But 100-30, the Roosters over the Dragons. And the Norwood ladies lost their GF, Braggy, I saw on the weekend.
Yes, we did. But that's all right. That's, I think, the first time they've made the grand final, so that's good. But the men's team, my team, the mighty Redlegs, are on top of the ladder again. Yeah. And our evil rivals, Sturt, second on the ladder. So it's shaping up to be.
It's shaping up.
Yeah, I'll have to phone up Dave Graney.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, last week's show, Goatzilla, legendary. But today's a real change.
It is.
Yeah.
We are not talking atomic mutant goat punk tonight. We are talking, well, I'm going to let our guest describe his style of music. Welcome to the show, Nathan Lamont. How are you, Nathan?
I'm fantastic, gentlemen. Thanks very much for welcoming me onto the show. I'm really excited to have a yarn. I have to say, too, I'm a Roosters fan, so
yay!
A nice last weekend's game, so I appreciate you bringing that up.
How good was Jared last weekend? How good was Jared? I just love him.
I don't even know who Jared is.
But I do fear that I'll probably get into a very long conversation about the Roosters game if we start talking about the game. I'm more than welcome to. I'm more than happy to.
I like the way that we got within 4 points and then just said, yeah, that's good enough. And
close enough.
Close enough.
You're actually making me nervous for a bit there. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was too. When they scored, made it 14-12, I'm like, I'm not St. George. Because I grew up in the St. George district, right? And throughout the 60s and 70s, St. George were always been a very strong side. And they would often often I'd go with my mates down to Cogger Oval and see East Place St George and walk up Jubilee Avenue in a very sad fashion. So like every win, I just savor it. I savor every win against St George and against South.
Yes.
Beautiful. I was living briefly in Wollongong actually, and because they have the Anzac Clash always in Sydney, I never got to see them come to the Gong to play at the Wynn Stadium. So devastated. I thought that I would be certainly watching a game there, but no, the Roosters and St George never play at that stadium.
I've been there, I was there once for they had a game there on Mother's Day, and we went down.
For Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Nathan, how do you describe your music?
Yeah, look, I would say like I fit distinctly into country pop. I love country rock. I love all the heavier forms of country. You know, I love your Luke Combs, Morgan Wallens. But I would say that vocally and just you know, where my songwriting space at the moment is just predominantly just in that country pop space. Some more fringe country. And that's just due to having several different influences growing up, you know, and also having a voice that kind of has always sat in that poppier space. But, you know, growing up, you know, grassroots country, like, you know, it was always you know, the style of music that I wanted to pursue, doing the whole country music circuit. You know, Tamworth every year when I was a kid, I would enter every talent quest that I could, and used to enter every talent quest in New South Wales and Victoria that I could. So country was always my passion growing up with the classics, of course. So, and yeah, that's where I'm sitting at the moment anyway, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the process of writing, which is, you know.
So did you have a musical family, Nathan? Like, was that when it started for you really, really young? I know scanning the internet today, I saw a couple of, you when you were a lot younger playing at school and stuff, I think.
Oh, really? You found? Oh, wow.
Yeah. I like to check it out.
But no, I did. Yeah, I did. I had a very big musical family. We come from a very long line of singers. I mean, my siblings. I've got 22 siblings.
Awesome.
And 6 of them sadly passed before I was born. My dad actually started having children back in the 40s because he was born in 1926. So he was 67 when I was born. So I was late in the piece, and they were all already singing and doing their thing and gigging and all that stuff before I was even born. So I was just born into it. You know, I was exposed to music from a very early age, and it was country, of course. So I was blessed, you know, to be given that gift of singing from my family.
Yeah. Wow. That's, I can relate to that. My dad was 54 when he conceived me. So I think I was born out of a bottle of scotch one night. I think, you know, so, but I can relate to that. Yeah, that's right.
There's the unfiltered part right there.
So sugarcoat things for him. Lucky child support exists back then. Let me tell you right now.
22 siblings. Wow, that's a hell of
that's extraordinary.
That's bigger than the Jackson 5, isn't it?
Oh, massive. And they're all like, and the annoying thing is they can all sing too. I'm easily not the, like, you know, I've got no issues admitting that I'm not the best singer in the family. So, you know, it's cool. Like, it's cool to share that passion, and we, you know, family gatherings were awesome.
Oh.
We'll get and sing and jam.
Yeah, it must be. That must be great.
So you're used to that jibe of you're not even the best singer in your family, mate.
Although I used to think so, you know, I had a real cocky kind of mentality when I was younger, but thankfully I was humbled and humbled good. So yeah, I mean, it was good though. I think you know, a lot of the singers in my family, they helped guide me, and a lot of them actually, I mean, a bit of nepotism, I suppose, but my stepmother, who had 12 children to my dad, she used to run a country music talent quest in Leeton, just within a stone's throw of Wagga here, and sometimes I would be judged by my by my sisters. So, and sometimes I'd win, and sometimes I wouldn't win, and I just have to bite the bullet whenever they chose someone.
So, like, listening to your stuff today, got to say, production values is super high.
Yeah.
Sounds really super polished. When you talk about pop country, the pop side, I can hear that. It's very modern, contemporary sound of the stuff you've got. I can really hear that sort of, you know, the current modern country pop sort of stylings through it. But it sounds so good. the stuff sounds like expensive, I guess, is probably the way I'd put it.
Yeah, that's the way I'd put it too. My wife is, sometimes looking at our bank account and then giving me the very, the very dirty side eye. But it's one of those things, when you really care about something and you want, the best product, you kind of forget about you forget how money works. But I've spent a lot of money, but only because there's guys that are out there that are worth it, and these guys that I've been roping in. Well, it's not necessarily been me; it's been my producer Alex. He's got some connections with some really world class, and we're talking top of the food chain. Nashville based, session musicians, guys that have worked with.
That's where they are.
Yeah, there's some players. There's some players on those tracks.
So your team's your producer. You're obviously pretty close to the guy who produces your tracks. He's got his own production suite and stuff like that. So who's the team basically? And do you have like a road band here?
Yeah, so and it's all newly formed. So I'm starting to develop a greater network of players. But I think for me at the moment, most of my gigs have been in New South Wales based. I am starting to get gig offers, or at least quoting for gigs out of state, and I've had to recently explore other more locally based, Queensland based, musos and whatnot. But yeah, typically the guys that I'm working with here in Australia, they're all based in Wagga, so which is great. Cool, because they're actually really, really talented, and the guy that plays drums for me, he develops a bit of production stuff for me too. So he's a producer, and he does a little bit of work for me, just to pull my show. I'm doing a show Friday night, for example, and he was able to pull in the intro music, create that from scratch, and kind of seamlessly pull all the music together. So it's pretty cool when you got guys like that here in Wagga. So I don't have to outsource, to America or to Sydney or wherever all the other musos are based, which is often Sydney and Brisbane and, Yeah.
Nathan, off air we were talking about you were on the Voice, and we've had a few people on the show who have been on, I don't know all the names of those shows, but Idol and those things.
X
and
Factor.
they've all had kind of the X Factor. They've all had very different experiences. So for you, you think it was good for you musically and mentally, or the reverse?
Look, I think the experience was necessary. I think having that understanding as to how television shows work from an earlier age, it kind of gives me a greater picture of just how they're designed behind the scenes, and to not trick myself into thinking that at this point in my career that's the best option for me. It's not always a bad option either. I mean, I think a good example of a recent country music singer in Australia, or New Zealand originally, Kaylee Bell, she went on The Voice, and her whole storyline was focused around her singing the original song that she wrote about Keith Urban, who was a judge, who happened to be a judge on that season, and that worked really well for her. It got her song out there, which was already out on Spotify. It kind of just shone a light on her as a performer and her music. Whereas, I think for me at the time when I went on there, I had nothing. I had nothing out, had nothing going on outside of that space. And I think I was treating it like a talent show. Yeah. Whereas it's more of a platform. And I think that if you can wrap your head around that as an artist, then I think, you're less likely to fall into a trap of, not having a great experience, I suppose.
I guess if anything, it's a little sneak peek in behind the curtain of how things are going to function. If later on you get to that point, it's a little early look at what you're in for.
I think it's a TV show about people who sing.
Sorry, I missed that.
It's a TV show about people who sing.
Yeah.
So the backstory is important. So when you say about Keith Urban, knowing Cheyenne Endemol as we do, there's no surprise that they found that girl and put that when Keith was on the show. I reckon they've got a whiteboard. They've got a whiteboard and they go, we need this act, we need this act, we need this act, and they're slotting them in.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's an interesting experience though.
Well, both my times on there, because at the time I was getting mentored by Keith by email, and I'd send him music and he'd provide comment and feedback and whatnot. they definitely used that relationship to feature that on the show, and had me sing a Keith Urban song, and had Keith kind of not ring in, but like provide, he did a pre-filmed video where he was wishing me good luck and all that sort of stuff. So they like to draw those connections, but especially given he was only a judge on the first season of The Voice at the time. It might have even been the first two. I can't remember. Off the top. He just left when I went on The Voice, and they kind of put him back in for that little feature. So they do like to wrap that up into a little bow if they can. But
they do.
Well, it's show business. It's show business, and that's what we're in, So
yeah. Exactly. But you can use it to your advantage, and Kaylee Bell's a good example of that. And Bella McKenzie, who's a recent contestant, she's pretty much used that as a platform to launch herself off, into what she's doing now, and she's going really well. She's signed with I can't remember the exact. I think it might be Universal now. I'm not sure if it's Warner Brothers anymore. I'm not sure if it's Warner that does the music contracts.
I think when you watch those shows, I get astounded by how many good singers there are. Like these people who come, there's a lot of people who go on those shows and you just go, wow, they're great. Now my question is always about the resilience of people. Like I see people on that show and I go, you're going to last 5 minutes in the back of like getting changed into a bathroom with a bottle of water. Because when it comes to hair and makeup and wardrobe, the TV is great. And, prep and all that sort of stuff. But when you do what you're doing, which is, having to go out on the hustle, it's a whole other world. It's not that TV world isn't like that world at all.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Because I think that there's, for some people that are really fantastic live performers, they're really great songwriters. They crumble under that pressure because it's such a pressure cooker environment, and you're competing like that whole idea of competing against other singers. It's just you feel really exposed, and
it's alien to us. You 100%. Don't compete.
No, there's no and unless, if you've got that mentality in this industry, you're not going to last very long. If you're competing, you're never going to be satisfied with yourself.
Everyone who does,
and you're going to get better. So
everyone who goes on those shows and they try and play the game and be like try and undermine people or manipulate, you'll get found out. You'll get stitched up, guaranteed.
Exactly.
I know.
You hit the nail on the head. I unfortunately. I was a bit immature when I went on that show, emotionally, and I didn't look at the bigger picture at the time. So I think that with a few more years on me now, if I had waited and gone on there now, I feel like I would have had a lot better.
You would have nailed it now,
And who knows? Because I performing live and performing to an audience and things like that, I'm used to that. I've done that countless times. I performed in front of 15,000 people when I was 18. One of my own songs, was spectacular. That is fine, but when you're sitting there in front of these chairs that are facing the other way, and you feel like this next minute you've either got to make it or break it, that's what it feels like at the time.
And they put that pressure on you too, right? That it's all very that it's all very high pressure environment. It's extraordinary. But again, I watch the performances for so many people on those shows, and you've got to admire them.
And it's great TV.
You went back for a second. I tend to think I watch the show, and after the blind auditions, I kind of give up on it. I lose interest. I really like that first part. That's the bit I really like.
Yeah, me too. I'm very much like you, Rossi, there. Once the blind auditions are gone, and we go, and it actually annoys me a little bit because you go through this and you build that tension and you identify with people. Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going to cut 50% of you. And you go, what? We've only just started. All right. Nathan, let's talk about your latest single, shall we? I think it's called Born Out of a Bottle of Scotch.
There you go. Hey, you can take
it. A great song
it's a good line, Nathan. You can have it.
All right. So I'm calling Shotgun. So let's talk about I'm calling Shotgun. What's the song about, and how's it going for you?
Yeah. So the story of the song, I'll tell you a little bit about how it how it even came to be. But we were in the studio tracking the vocals for my second single, which was Skin to Skin. And we kind of stormed through that a lot quicker than what we thought we would. And we had half a day in the studio left. So Alex and I just, off the cuff, just decided to sit down and write a song. And we managed to push this one out. And we didn't actually go in because, normally with a songwriting session, I'll go in with ideas. I'll go in with melodies. I'll go in with, hook lines and things like that, like, lyric ideas and whatnot. But I was not in that headspace that day. So it took a little bit to get going, but once we got going, like Alex actually was able to, trigger some creativity in the moment because he'd actually had a line that he'd been thinking of, and it was I'm calling shotgun, and so that idea right there was the center of the song, and that's what became the focus, and we kind of built everything around that, and the story of this guy falling and or being in love in that moment with this girl who's in a toxic relationship and who's on the cusp of leaving. He's just kind of saying to her, look, if you're ever wanting something new, you want to get out, get away from that scumbag. It doesn't say that in the song, but that's what it's insinuating.
That's what I got from it. Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I'm calling shotgun. So
yeah.
I've been waiting on a call all night, and I can't believe it. You said he don't treat you right, and it got me thinking, do you still love him after all of the pain he's put you through? Or are you ready for someone new? If you're looking for a late night drive on the highway, windows down, touching the air, every byway, like a couple of kids with some rules to break. And if you're feeling like a midnight dance on a rooftop, 40 acres of heaven, girl, I got a spot, somebody to kiss you like you're the one. Oh, I call a shotgun.
Pick me.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's not a forceful way either. It's just like, this is the stuff that we can do together. If you ever do get out of that relationship, I'm calling shotgun. I'm in.
And of course, concept. That saying comes from like the Wild West, when the guy riding had a shotgun when they were delivering the mail or the gold or whatever. The guy in the other seat had a shotgun. You guys do that? Yeah. That's where that saying comes from. So I'm riding a shotgun. I did the gun protecting the guy driving. There you go.
Bit of history. I mean, yeah, I probably should have known. I probably should have done some homework.
No, that's all right. I mean, everyone says, I'm shotgun. The kids especially. My daughter's always shotgun.
That's cool.
It's a good concept. It's
great.
All your songs like Skin to Skin. Did you come up with that one? That's a really cool little catch.
Yeah.
Well. I like that. Actually, I think that's my favorite of the three that you have out. If I have to pick a favorite, I'm a sucker for a really good. I think that's my favorite of the. It's more poppy. I mean, they're all poppy, but
it's one of those songs that just kind of came out of nowhere. Like it wasn't even like. I think I was just humming in the kitchen one day, and I just, when we're skin to skin, and it just kind of landed on my.
Yeah.
And it's just real catchy. I think that was the reason why I released it, because it felt like it was just a song that would get stuck in people's heads, and it was kind of a bit of a strategic move there, because I think as an emerging artist too, I'm at a really delicate stage, and first impressions are everything. And I think that sometimes when you're emerging, it's just trying to cut through the noise that's really tricky. And you can do that one of two ways. You can go that real grassroots, or, all I sing about is just 100% of my life, day after day, and put a really cool lyric to it, and whatever your process is. And then, or you can go the other way, which you can go that country pop, catchy tunes, get stuck in your head kind of approach, which is kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. But yeah, it was a fun song to write, and I wrote it with a good mate of mine, Robbie Mortimer. If you haven't had a yarn with him, I recommend you have him on the show because he's a brilliant muso and he's a good bloke.
Yeah, I could swear that somebody paused on the world the moment you entered the room. It's like the only thing that was left is spinning was my head when my eyes called you. Now I know that nobody's perfect, but our bodies are learning. So let's leave it to them to work it out. It don't matter what mood we're in, baby, when we're skin to skin. You make me feel like when I'm dying, there ain't no tears left to be crying. Oh, it don't matter what mood we're in, baby, when we're skin to skin. You make me feel like we're forever. The time is still when we're together. Oh yeah, baby, when we're skin to skin. It's like we're always into something, knowing nothing. Yes, I'm stupid.
He's actually the son of Steve Mortimer. So
Is that right? Hey,
Oh,
Canterbury.
that's right.
But like where my head's at, roughly, it's like I was just so engrossed in the sounds of the records. I just thought they sounded so good. I just could. That kept on like going. Like I hear a lot of through in the podcast. I hear a lot of modern country, or contemporary country, and to me that sounded better than anything I've heard. Like the guys who you worked on with that, it sounds great. It really, really sounded like it. It sounded $1 million, and I know how expensive it is to get that sound.
Yeah, I mean, it's only expensive because of the Australian conversion rate. So
yeah, well, yeah.
I remember when I went to the States the first time, because I went back in I think it was 2013. My wife
Parody. It was parody.
It was like dollar for dollar.
I know, it was great. I was there too. Yeah.
You know, and now
shopping was fantastic, wasn't it?
So good. It was flights were cheap, the accommodation was cheap. You felt like you could live like a king for the month that you were there. But it was it was just the fact that the conversion rate, because if you factor in the US the US dollars, they were like $250 per player, and probably a good point to note. For my first two, I actually had it tracked in isolation, so they were just kind of layered, and we kind of pulled in guys, left, right, and center. But for the last one, it was all in one session, and they're all in the room together as they were recording it.
That makes a difference, doesn't it? People can eyeball each other.
You can hear the difference. Yeah, it just got that live feel, which is cool.
Yeah. I've got a mate who made during lockdown. He built a studio in his garage. He's a drummer, and he just did sessions for people all over the world. They just kept on because people still had to try. And I think there was quite a creative fulcrum during that period. Is that people were just writing and recording and getting stuff out. And the way you've done it there, using American guys, I think is pretty clever. It was a wise investment, I reckon.
Oh, look there. Yeah, it's really, you don't really notice the difference until you hear it. I mean, it seems so obvious, but like, when I heard the third track, that I've released, I'm Calling Shotgun, it was just on a different level. Just having them all in the room together, and having guys that have played for, Carrie Underwood, Luke Combs, like the guy that did the lick for She Got the Best of Me, Soul Phil Cox Littlefield playing on my song. It's just hard to really fathom that.
But I've always thought, I got a bit of an understanding. The music industry is a lot smaller than you realize. Like it's big, but it's small. And sort of like we all sort of have our own little circles, and as your circles touch other people's circles, it's really interesting who you can come into contact with,
Yeah, it's especially when you're working hard, because I think that even the big guys that are doing the big festivals and selling out stadiums, I think they respect the emerging artists that are working for it, and I think they're a lot more willing to open up and share their time and to provide support or even these guys in the States that are recording. I mean, a lot of them are doing it for a living, but they don't have to say yes when they're approached.
No.
there's a lot of people that they probably wouldn't say yes to. So it feels good when you get the opportunity to work with some world-class performers, because it pulls you up to their level, and it's a win-win, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I read that you were one of the finalists for the Abraham Cost Developing Artist Program as well? Is that right?
Yeah, they've got for those that are listening that don't know, there's an annual professional development awards that they provide to an opportunity for artists to apply for, and you submit 2 songs, and you go into the chance of winning $10,000 in your category. So there's a country category, there's I believe there's a pop category, there's like a Nat Simo category, which is the national Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander music office category, and that's the category that I entered because I'm a Wiradjuri man myself, and I was named as a top 5 finalist in that category, which is pretty cool, because I hadn't written in a long time up until last year, so it felt pretty cool to be yet again recognized, because I was a top 5 finalist about 10 years ago. So it was cool after all that time to be recognized so soon after resuming my songwriting.
And people who know what they're talking about too. APRA Amicos are the people who know more about songwriting or the mechanics of songwriting than anyone in the country, just about, I reckon.
Well, the panel that are judging you, they're all industry professionals. They're often, the big wigs that are that are either behind the scenes or that are actually performing on stage, selling out stadiums. So
that's great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can enter and hopefully take it home again in future, because I could really use that money for a lot of things.
Pay those session guys.
But $250 a throw, that'll get you a string section.
Look,
get a pedal steel player.
10,000 these days. I tell you what, when you factor in publicity and you factor in Play MPE, I'm not sure if anyone else knows what Play MPE is. God, or radio monitor, and then just the costs of getting instrumentalists and the production cost. I think I've spent about $5-6 grand per song on average after you factor in all the additional stuff. So
just looking at your streaming numbers on Spotify. 61,000 for I'm Calling Shotgun, so decent effort. But Drink You Up, 189,000 streams, so well done.
Thank
I
you.
know that puts you firmly in the emerging artist and not at the Taylor Swift stratosphere of Spotify. But
and that one, so you just wrote that one yourself. That one is no help. There's no collaboration on that one, is there?
Yeah, exactly. That was the first song I'd written by myself in probably 12 years. Because I'm not. Yeah, and I can't explain it. It just honestly, it's weird because I struggled for so many years, and given I was working a very very exhausting kind of job that would deplete me of any kind of creative energy. I was I was working in child protection for about 7 years as a caseworker. So tough gig, and I was a kid in care myself, so I went in there with the best of intentions, but the system's built the way it is, and as a caseworker at that ground level, there's very little change systemically that you can create. So I eventually got out, and that's kind of what triggered me to go back into songwriting and starting to have, I actually had the energy. I wasn't working 12, 13-hour days, 6 days a week, So it was tough, but I kind of lost myself for a long time doing that job, and I'm so glad that I left because it brought back what I love to do, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So
I don't think, people probably don't realize how, if you're just working it can be, I know that's a really tough job, but any sort of day job can be so detrimental to your creative side. If you know what I mean? Depending on what sort of job it is, because it's just a whole other brain. And if to try and switch your creative thing on after a day, it's impossible. You have to have
100%.
But hopefully, Nathan, there might be, I'm assuming there must be some material from those days working in such a,
Yeah, look, I've written songs that I've struggled to write because I just couldn't stop crying. I'm to be quite, to be transparent with you, I've sat in co-writing sessions, and I've had to kind of apologize to the other person. You know, I was just accessing all these feelings, experiences that I just hadn't, that I just pushed down, you know. And that's the beautiful thing about songwriting, especially when you get the chance to share that with someone, and that you feel safe enough with that person to kind of go into that stuff with them. You know, but I think that, you know, for me, it's always been trying to break down those barriers that's been the biggest challenge. And I think that some songwriters do it really, really well. But for me, which I can only speak for, you know, it's been a challenging process to really be vulnerable within myself, you know, to open that can of worms and to, you know, write a song and then have to deal with the you know, the Pandora's box has been opened at that stage, and you know, how do you cope with it, you know, thereafter? So it's a challenge.
Yeah, like you think about Archie Roach and things like Take the Children Away and stuff like that. Like, you know, people write work of art like that, and like you just go, how do you finish that work? How can they do that? Yeah, like
and how do you play it live? And you know, every time.
But I mean, if you can harness those feelings, man, that's that's a whole other level of songwriting. Then
can be a bit grim though. The world you came from, I think.
True.
That would have been a bit grim.
Yeah. Look, you know, and you know, I you know, I lost a niece a couple of years ago. Not to get too heavy, but you know, like I always wanted to write a song for my sister because, you know, I'm a dad now. I wasn't a dad at that point when I lost my niece. She was only 2 years old. But you know, my wife was pregnant at the time that we lost my niece with our daughter. So, you know, I couldn't imagine at the time what my sister was going through, and the only way that I felt like I could really do something for her was, and for Isabella, my niece, was to put pen to paper, you know, and we got through it. Thankfully, I was able to write a song. I haven't released it yet, but I'm sure at some stage I will. And you know, I'm just waiting for the right time, you know, to open that box up to the world, really, because it's a personal story.
But there'll be other people that will, you know, it'll just hit them as well. It's such a healing thing, music and songwriting.
It is.
When it comes to that.
100%. All right, Braggy, speaking about the right time, it's Braggy's quiz time. Now, we know so many of our listeners love this segment, and they love to see Rossi flog everyone with his knowledge of the music industry.
Today I don't feel it, I tell you.
I tell you what, I have tried my hardest to make these questions as hard for Rossi as possible.
Such a Queensland thing to do.
Do you think that you could ever get to the stage where you create two sets of questions, one for Rossi, which are really hard, and then
these are all hard.
One set for me and the guest, which is a lot easier.
These are all hard, but I do have a 50-50 one in for you, Curly, as well. Like I did last
thank
week.
you.
True or false? I got a true or false in for you.
What do we do? Do we have to buzz in?
No. Just write it down or put it on your phone or remember it. You don't even have to write it down. It's not that serious. And then it's 10 questions. And then after the 10, I just will go back through it and we'll see who gets what.
Let's do it.
I've tried to mix in some country questions with some really other fucked up weird questions. It's going to be good. I learned so much when I do these quizzes.
The answer to the first question is Brad Fittler.
No, the first question is, in what year was the first Gympie Muster held?
Ooh.
Tough.
That is tough.
Where are you playing? Deniliquin Muster, Delican Ute Muster.
Deni Ute.
Deni Ute Muster. Oh,
I couldn't tell you when that started. Awesome. I feel like I could probably get maybe Gympie down to the decade. But
okay. Well, it started as the charity event, the Gympie Muster. I think they still give a lot of money to charity. I think they still do that, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, question 2. Who sang at both the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2000 Olympic Games and had a hit with the song Absolutely Everybody?
Oh, gosh.
Remember that one, Curly?
Absolutely everybody. She's an interesting singer.
Okay, question 3. This is a cracker. How many albums did Slim Dusty release during his lifetime?
Oh, jeez.
It's fucking mind-blowing.
We need Big Stew on tonight. So can I phone a friend?
No. Okay, question 4. I put this one in to try and stuff Rossi up. Which boy bands were these singers in? Harry Styles, Justin Timberlake, and Robbie Williams. Which boy bands were those guys in? Different ones. 3 different ones, obviously.
What was the last name?
Robbie Williams. You heard of him? Harry Styles, Justin Timberlake, Robbie Williams. Can you remember the boy bands that they were in? Question 5. I love Robbie. Actually, I like all those guys, actually. Okay. Which American country music singer recently collaborated with Beyonce on her album Cowboy Carter?
Okay.
I've only really, because we do country a fair bit on this show, Nathan, but not a lot. We got freaking last week we had punk, so I've only discovered that guy just recently. I like him.
So
okay, number 6. Number 6. Who is Sherilyn Sarkisian? You all know who it is. Who is Sherilyn Sarkisian? Spelled Sarkisian. Sherilyn Sarkisian.
That's kind of a country question, kinda.
Oh,
yeah, it is kind of.
Yeah, you're giving me a hint there, Rossi.
Question: do you know who that is, Rossi? Do you?
Yeah.
Jesus, you good. Number 7. Who are the only 2 Australians to win Grammy Awards for country music? It's like in the country music category.
I've got a good guess. I've got a good guess at that one.
Okay, this one you're going to love. This one is definitely not country question. Question 8. Humphrey B. Florbert, Jock Cheese, and Ron Hitler Barassi were all members of what band that won an ARIA for Best Independent Release in 1985?
I think I know that one.
You know that one?
I got the one. That's one for Curly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ron Hitler Barassi.
Yeah, it sort of gives it away, doesn't it?
Okay, number 9. Which Australian country singer's latest album is also the international radio signal for ships in distress?
Can I hear that again?
Which Australian country singer's latest album is also the international radio signal for ships in distress? It's the name of the album.
I think I got that one. I think I've got at least one.
Yeah, I thought that's good. And the last one, true or false? The Hanson brothers, who had a hit with Bop, now sell a beer called Hops.
Is that true or false?
Is that true or false?
I'm having a guess.
That's false. That's such a great creative,
true or false?
Great question.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready for
All
the
right.
answers?
Yep.
90. Not anyone have 1982 or close?
No.
77.
No, 82.
73.
Vanessa Amorosi was the girl who sang. Vanessa Amorosi.
Yeah.
Well done.
Absolutely, everybody.
What a voice she had.
She's still around. She's still
going?
Yeah. Yeah.
Slim Dusty released 103 albums.
Oh.
I was off by about 49.
What did you say? What did you say, Curly? What did you have, Curly?
144.
Jeez, you.
Enjoy.
It's a lot of compilations, I reckon.
I think Joy wrote probably 70% of them.
Yeah.
Now, Brad,
But
the
it's probably
next question was to trick me, and the answer to that is One Direction, In Sync, and Take That.
Oh, yeah. Correct. How do you know that shit?
Oh, that's the sort of shit I know.
What about question 5? Did anyone get that?
I got 1 out of 3.
No, I didn't get question
I
The
got
five.
guy's,
it.
the guy's name is Shabuzi.
Ah,
Shabuzi.
dunno.
He's got it. He's number one. I think.
Shabuzi,
Yeah, you know him,
Songwriting.
Nathan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like that stuff he's doing.
Whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's everywhere at the moment. Everyone's heard that song. Yeah.
Yeah. Sherilyn Sarkisian is Sher.
Sure.
So Sarkisian is obviously First Nations American name.
I just write musicians.
The two Australians with Grammy Awards.
My guess was Keith Urban and ONJ. Olivia.
Newton-John, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the two.
Oh, Olivia.
I would have thought there would have been more. Yeah, Olivia goes back before your time, Nathan.
Olivia was a country singer originally.
It would have been for Hopelessly Devoted to You, surely.
No. It would have been
she had like Down by the Banks of
the Ohio.
Yeah.
She did a lot of early.
Awesome. Go on.
She did a lot of country stuff before Grease. Tism.
I had Keith.
Tism
Tism.
is right. Yeah, Tism is right for the Jock Cheese.
This is serious, Mum.
Casey Barnes is well done.
That's the one I was confident with.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
And it's true. The handsome boys sell beer now.
Oh God, I couldn't even get it through.
My God.
I have false for that because I would have thought with their religious background, I believe they were Mormons at one stage, weren't they?
Were they?
The Handsomes,
Mate, those guys. I saw a clip of them singing that song. Just
good players.
Acoustically. Wow, harmonies, man, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be like one of your barbecues at your place, mate. Everybody's got that voice that Nathan.
Everyone's got everyone takes like a different harmony. It was definitely like that.
Would you ever get some of your siblings to sing on some of your songs? Or do you do gigs together or no?
We have definitely. I think obviously there are different stages of their life, like they're at 50s and whatnot. So a lot of them are just one of them's actually traveling overseas at the moment with her family. So but yeah, like it's just probably more so a situation of circumstance because they're all spread out. We're all spread out now.
Yeah.
A bit tough, but we definitely have, and we hopefully we will in the future, I suppose. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
that's great, man. I can't believe how big the family is. That's mind blowing.
Massive,
so cool.
massive. Yeah, most people don't. Most people's jaws drop when they hear how many siblings I've got, and I think it's hilarious. I love sharing that knowledge with people because I love seeing the reactions on their faces.
What number are you?
I'm fourth last.
So you're like 18 or 17.
So I'm 18th.
18th, yeah.
That's so cool. And he was 73, your dad. Because what the weird, like, I know we're not kind of talking about music at the moment, but what people don't believe me, I know how you feel because when I say, because my dad was 53 when he conceived me, but he was the youngest of 8. And so his father was 48. So he had 2 older brothers. My uncles, not my granduncles, my uncles were killed in the Battle of the Somme in World War One.
Wow.
Really?
So
it's crazy.
I say that to people and they go, "You mean your granduncle?" I go, "No."
There was 40 years difference between my mum and dad. Now we won't go too much into that, but 40 years is a long, is a long.
Well, there's
gap.
20 in mine, so 20 years difference. So
yeah. So it's it's a fascinating story. I always enjoy telling it. I think the most bizarre thing people struggle to wrap their heads around is that my eldest sibling Nola is in her 70s.
Yeah.
So my eldest biological sister, through my dad, is well into her 70s.
Yeah. Well, I'm 60. I've got a half brother who's 80, nearly 90. So
yeah.
Wow.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So let's get back to the music. And,
Sorry.
Nathan, you got a couple of shows coming up. So let's talk about the Deni Ute Muster because I just love the name. And you're playing there. So what are you expecting at the Deni Ute Muster?
Oh, look, truth be told, I have no idea. I've never actually been to the Deni Ute Muster, truth be told. I've seen video footage of people performing and stuff, and it looks like a really fun atmosphere. I'm really keen to get down there. I won't be able to take a ute because I don't own a ute, but so I'm going to stick out. Hopefully not in a bad way, but yeah, I'm just keen to get out down there. I hear the crowd's really fun and really like crazy fun, like crazy but in a good way. So just like your typical country crowd. But I'm really looking forward to taking my band as well, because like it's not every gig that you get to play with your band, and I'm looking forward to just doing the show that I've pulled together for my single launch at Deni, and featuring all of my music as it sounds on the soundtracks. I think that's the goal that I have as a performer, is I want to be able to take a show on the road that I'm really proud of, and just have fun, like not be limited, stuck behind an acoustic guitar like I am half the time.
Yeah, and it's headlined by Tyler Hubbard and Kip Moore on both days, and Aussie Amy Shark is headlining there as well.
That's unusual. And
you would think Deni Ute Muster and it's country, but Amy Shark, and can
Amy's
I just
got
say,
out.
the latest song she's got out, Two Friends, is a belter. So I love it. So
how many have been in the band, Nathan?
So I've got 4 other players. I've got keys, bass, drums, and guitar, and I'll kind of shift between guitar and keys myself too. So
you play keys too?
Yeah, a little bit. I've always been like naturally kind of not, I would say talented. Just kind of I could naturally just work my way around the keyboard. So I'm getting better as I continue to play. So I'm spending more and more time on the keys, because that's a part, I think, of a really good sign of a great artist on stage, is being able to kind of not play one instrument, just to do everything, perform without an instrument, perform with an instrument, and to mix those instruments up. I love seeing performers when they get on the keys and then the next minute they're on the guitar, and it keeps it interesting.
Yeah, well, it's also it's a handy songwriting skill to have as well, being able to play the piano.
Yeah, and you know what? I've actually only just recently started doing that, because I've forever and a day I've just written songs on a guitar, but you can't necessarily hear as much when you're hearing the same 6 strings strummed over and over again, and and the chord structures too. So
and you got to maybe even get a little bass line there that you normally wouldn't get. Unless you're like a really good finger picker, I guess. I noticed you don't use a pick when you play, which is
you noticed that, did you?
Yeah, well, only because I'm a bass player, but I do gigs on acoustic guitar as well, and I just cannot freaking hold a pick. So
it's hard to like finger pick with a pick. I mean,
where do you put it with your finger picking?
Yeah, well, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good point, Ross.
But there is a skill where you use your other 3, and my guitar teacher tried to, because I'm self-taught mostly. I did have like guitar lessons for about a term during school, and the guitar teacher was desperately trying to show me how to do it, and I fumbled the balls. So but I do sometimes play with the pick, particularly for longer gigs where I'm playing real heavier stuff, because there's been gigs where I've walked away and like the back of my
shredded,
shredded and bleeding and inflamed. So I try to avoid it, but some songs I just have to. It just feels more natural.
When it gets loud too, it's hard to cut through unless you got a pick. So
doesn't sound
more percussive at that louder volumes too, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Beck got away with it.
Yeah. Mark Knopfler.
Actually, Slim Doherty from the Johnnies doesn't play with a pick either.
Okay.
It freaks me out to watch him play. It's like, what?
No wonder you get all the questions right. How do you know that?
An interesting story. My dad actually he lost an arm halfway through his life. He played left-handed guitar for most of it, and I'm left-handed as well, but I play with my right hand, which is it's real bizarre. But he lost his left arm, so he had to kind of relearn how to play the guitar with his using his right arm, and then he had to with his prosthetic arm, he used to put a bit of wire in between where the fingers were and just kind of move his arm up and down to strum, which I thought was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought that was pretty cool. You know, just how he was able to adapt and still keep playing.
That's
yeah.
That's
Because he's
Wow.
long gone. Like he's been passed now since I was like 8. So you know, there's a lot of stories that I'm really only still learning.
That's
you
incredible.
learn from your older siblings, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All
Yeah.
right. So, Nate, tell us what's next on the music. What's so your latest song, I'm Calling Shotguns, going gangbusters. What's in the pipeline and what's upcoming?
Yeah, so I've got a song coming out in October, just after Deni, which I think is great timing because I'll play it at Deni and give it a plug. And it's a bit of a tonal shift on the first 3 that I've released, and I've done that purposely because the first 3 I've released are in a similar pocket. So I just wanted to shift it up a little bit with the next one and get a little bit experimental too. It's still country at the core of it, but it's a really powerful ballad. And it's got some really great instrumentation. It's got keys. It's got a little bit of drums, but also cello. So that's going to be fun. And it's a song that I feel like really shows off my vocals, like in terms of the dynamics, the light and shade. So I'm really excited by that. But I've got also plenty of other songs that I've got penned and ready to demo and you know, obviously when we cross that bridge, release as well. So there's no shortage of music that's coming out, and I'm planning on, you know, pulling that all together into an EP at least by the beginning of next year.
Cool. That was my next question.
Yeah.
And we've got the drip feed of songs strategy because
we
if
talk
you
about that
don't
every
do
time.
Yeah, we do. Because if you don't do that, the songs don't get the love they deserve, I reckon.
Yeah,
True.
that's something I learned too. Like I had no idea. I thought, oh, you know, I just need to write an EP and release it. And like this was only last year that I was thinking this. And then after I was speaking and you know, with other musos and my publicist as well, she's like, no. You got to release every, you know, on average every 3 months, and that way radio can do its thing. You know, streaming can do its thing, and then people are ready. You know, after that natural progression, once the songs kind of died down a little bit, to move on to the next song, and it just maintains that momentum, and you've got something new to sell every 3 months, so it kind of it makes sense.
And each song gets its own campaign and the love it deserves, you know, because each piece of work is like each piece of work is significant of its own too, right?
Yeah, that's it. Like, how many times have you like actually, you know, you've heard an album from a band, you know, maybe it was, you know, a recent band or whatever, and you'll know like 3 songs really, really well, and then the other ones you haven't heard at all played in forever, or you know, ever. You know, they just they don't reach the surface, you know. So
the whole new model's changing, isn't it? Like you don't know whether it's the right thing to do or not.
Yeah, I think it's still a work in. Yeah, I think it's still but everyone seems to be going the same way that Nathan and his team are going. I think the majority of people are doing it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fault it because I've had some good results as a result of doing it this way. And it also prepares me financially because I can actually space out the funds, because let's face it, it's not cheap pulling together an album. I don't know how artists have the funds to like up front to pay for it all and then release a full album. I honestly don't know how they do it. They must be gigging, you know, 5-6 nights a week to fund that. Or they're, you know, taking out a mortgage, remortgaging their house, or whatever they're doing. I'm struggling just to stay up to date with my publicist bills and the production fees just for a song as I go, you know. So it's a tough slug, you know. And I'm enjoying it though. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. But it's just you learn to appreciate just how difficult the business of music is when you actually have to start releasing music yourself.
But I guess living in Wagga and sort of you work rurally based more than anything else, like in the regional areas. Do you get any big smoke often?
Yeah, so I still work a day job, so I'm still I'm working a government job, working with Louts, local Aboriginal land councils. So I get to work with my community across the state, which is great, you know, because it's really flexible as well. So I get the opportunity to take time off and to go and I played a gig at WA. I played 2 gigs this year in WA that I needed to take several days off work for, and they were really supportive of that. And I was able to go away to WA and do what I needed to do over there. So that just kind of that's the way I've got to balance it at the moment, because I've got a mortgage, I've got 2 young kids, I've got all these responsibilities, but I also have this passion of music that I want to. I'd spend $1 million on music if I could. It's not about the money for me; it's about what I get in return.
Yeah, well, I think you should, because I think these 3 are they're good. They're good songs. I can't wait to hear some more.
Yeah, got a very impressive outlook too, I reckon. Yeah, like I dig.
Yeah,
really
that's
cool,
so
man.
important too.
Yeah. Now the question, we haven't raised the question of Nashville yet either. So is that part of the aim? Is that part of the goal to get over there and make something happen?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be like the ingredient that everyone has in their cookbook, when it comes to being an Aussie country music artist, isn't it? Getting over to Nashville, because that's where everyone seems to be based. When it comes
Music
to
City.
Exactly.
It's true, but there's so many people that are doing it, and I just feel the country is in such a role, wouldn't you say, at the moment in Australia? It's like,
I'm amazed. I'm astounded.
Left, right, center.
So it's only a matter of time before we get another Keith Urban, before we get someone who cracks it.
Could be someone who Keith knows.
But will they crack it? Will they crack? Yeah, it could be someone who Keith knows. Will they crack it in that massive soup of Nashville where everybody's swimming around together, or will it come from here? Because it's a different flavour down in Australia. It's got a chance of appealing, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what I'm talking about, I guess.
I know it's interesting though, because I think the reason that Nashville produces so many great artists is because, I mean, there's so many great songwriters there, like the world country artists that are songwriters, that are musos. They're all based there, and then half the time when you hear songs that are coming out on the radio, that's by Kane Brown or Dan and Shay or whoever, like Beyonce. They've all got these lengthy lists of co-writers, and they're 9 times out of 10 they're all based in Nashville. I'm telling you. And one of my favorite country songs by Rascal Flatts, I like the sound of that. Meghan Trainor is a co-writer on, and she's based in Nashville, but she's not in country. She's obviously used to be growing up, but you see the resources you have access to there compared to Australia. It makes sense. I can understand why people want to go there. It's just immersing yourself in that environment.
Yeah,
those people.
I get it.
And if you want to be the best, you got to work with the best.
But you walk up Broadway, and the bands that are playing just blow your mind. Like you go sit in a bar, and there'll be some 3-piece guys doing harmonies upstairs, and you listen to them, and you just go, "How good are you guys?" And then they come around begging you for tips, and you're like, "Going, man, something's not right,"
Yeah.
And I say,
you get off the plane. You get off the plane, and you hear in the airport cafe the best singer in Nashville.
I know, it's mind blowing, man. But like you talk about, like LA's the same. Like you've got like Alice Cooper, Aerosmith, and who was the other one? Alice Cooper, Aerosmith, and Kiss. All had Desmond Child write their biggest hits for them. Right? Yeah. They're all songwriters, and someone else is writing their songs. So like, what chance have you got?
Yeah, I mean, it really is the case that if you want to make it big, you kind of typically you have to be in Nashville. But in saying that, you've got guys like James Johnston who does fly to Nashville often to songwrite stuff like that.
Sure.
Guys that are doing really well in Australia. It's just that if you've got the presence over there, it's a lot easier to then make it globally. If you've got the presence here in Australia, like Keith Urban, he was massive here in Australia, but he was nobody when he went to America. You know what I mean? When he first went to America, and he had to then kind of earn his stripes over there, and then he made it around the whole world. So,
but when you see 20-foot street posters of Keith Urban in Nashville, you just go, "What the hell's going on here?" It's pretty cool. I thought that was super cool because I saw him play with the Ranch. Like I'd seen him play the pubs, and like you knew he was good, man. You knew he was good.
Oh man, he can play guitar. I've seen him play as well.
But that was mind blowing to see how big he was there. You're like going, "Hang on, just for a sec. That's Keith Urban on that wall, right?" And we're in Nashville.
It's cool.
I draw a lot of inspiration from Keith because I think that he came from pretty humble beginnings, and he was able to build himself up from the ground up, and on top of that, still didn't really crack it around the world, to the level he's at now until he was 37. Time frame in the country space where it's a bit different, like it doesn't work like pop, if you
22 year over.
True, but wouldn't you say Keith was? I mean, he was fortunate that it was still like the 80s when he was playing, and the 80s in Australia was just gig city. It was just gig. Is that right, Rossi? It's just so many gigs, 6 nights a week, and so he played a lot of gigs.
Yeah,
and it's harder now for young guys like you because there's not as much. It's not as much playing, gigs as there was.
All those Australian bands of the 1980s would go to America and go to Europe and blow people's socks off because they'd played 500, 600, 700 gigs before they got there, and people would just see them and go, "This is a road hardened act." Like the classic cases, AC/DC came in as an entry level band in every country they went to, and people just see them and just go, "These guys are playing to 100. Next week they're playing in front of 400, and a month later they're playing in front of 1,000." Because there's no substitute for doing the work,
Yeah. And NXS are another great example as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like it's hard. It's harder these days. It's easier and harder for us for us emerging artists because you've got the world at your fingertips. I can literally post a video today.
Yeah, that's true.
Video goes viral; it'll go right around the world. But that in saying that, there's also a dilution of music. It's kind of, there's so much out there now that it's really, like I was saying before, it's hard to cut
get above the noise. It's gone from being music as a commodity to music as a service now. And so people rent it on Spotify instead of buying the product. And that's part of the model change, right?
I don't want to off Spotify, so I'll be careful about what I say. But,
hey, look, Nathan, as long as you love it, it's worth doing it, no matter what happens. All we ask from this show is that if you get on the red carpet
at the Golden Guitars, you actually have to say thanks to the fellas and what.
Are you guys usually there as well?
No. We just want to see someone.
We ask everybody that we have on to say that.
We're just asking everybody to do it until
last year's
it.
red carpet at Tamworth. There was a couple of former guests on there, and all we ask people to say is thanks for the boys. Thanks to the boys. That's it. We know it's about us. So red carpet, Nathan. Hey, we've been going well over an hour, guys, and I figured that if I don't stop it soon, we'll be going for well over another hour. So,
I think so.
It's been good.
It's great, man.
It's been excellent.
Like an hour. Didn't feel like an hour, so credit to you guys.
Thank you.
All righty. So, Rossi, before we, just as a side note, after the New York Marathon in November, I'm spending 2 days or 3 days in Nashville this year. Cool. So I took my beautiful wife into booking in some accommodation and hopefully get an opportunity to catch up with our good friend Alison Asarch over there and to see her doing one of those songwriting rounds that she talks about. So
go to the Bluebird Cafe.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. Hey, Rossi, before we go, do you have a Rossi's backstage story for us tonight?
Look, I'm a bit tapped out tonight. My brain's a bit fried. I've got some, but nothing Rossi. Appropriate this week. Pass.
Nathan, if you don't know, Rossi was a roadie and still kind of half is.
Yeah, for about 30 years, I've toured with
everybody. You name a band from the 80s in Australia. He was there.
And I'm very tired. I'm very tired.
So Rossi, just a question instead. If you were signed up to be a roadie at the Deni Ute Muster, what would you not be looking forward to?
Putting Band-Aids on people's hands because they won't use picks.
Got fired.
Oh, good call.
Nathan, where can people find you?
Yeah, look, I'm all over social media. You can find me on TikTok, Nathan Lamont Official. Same title under Instagram, Nathan Lamont Official. Facebook, Nathan Lamont. And I think I'm on Snapchat. I'm not as frequent on there, but if you're on there, then feel free to add me. But yeah, and YouTube and Spotify. I'm across all the streaming platforms, so please go and stream my song. And there's a great music. We didn't talk about it, but there's a great music video as well that's attached. That
Great.
I love the music video for "I'm Going Shotgun," but you didn't get the girl.
No,
the other guy got the girl.
The other guy got the girl. Yeah. Well, I've already got a wife, so I felt like I'd be cheating.
Fair enough. That's a good call. Safe call.
All right. And,
it's a good clip. Check it out. It's a good clip.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have all those links in the show notes. So, Nathan, it's been awesome speaking with you tonight. So, and for everyone out there, if you've enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. Love reviews, so keep them coming. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We don't do any of them very well at all, but we're there. We have a website, Unfiltered and Undiscovered. We've added Nathan's songs to our Unfiltered, Undiscovered playlist on Spotify. So you'll be able to check them out there. And just the final word for this week, how good was Ruby Tuesday by the Rolling Stones? Until next week. Sorry, we won't be here next week because Queensland hopefully will be putting on a bit of a show against the New South Wales Blues. But we will see you the following week. See you all.
See ya.
Oh.
See you guys.
Just like my first hit of coffee in the morning, first sip of whiskey in the evening. Baby, your taste gives me something to believe in. And baby, it's bittersweet whenever I have to watch you leaving. But at least I got someone to be needing, and I'm hitting all this time that we need. Whenever you're at work and I'm at home, call you on the phone and tell you that I feel alone and that I just wanna drink you up. I got 3 days in the desert, no water to drink you up. Girl, I've been thirsty the moment that I saw you, throw you down like a whiskey shot. When I'm loving you not, I just wanna drink. Yeah, baby, it's just as hard at the start of every other weekend. And I know that you're heading out with your friends, but I'm left here wondering if you see that, baby, well, you feel me to the brim. With that dress you're slipping in, I can never get enough. No, I just wanna drink you up like I'm 3 days in the desert, no water. Drink you up, girl. I've been thirsty the moment that I saw you, threw you down like a whiskey shot. When I'm loving you not, I just wanna drink you up, just wanna drink you up. I just wanna drink you. Sip your cup to my head, it's a ceiling. Girl, this punch stroke love's got me feeling like I'm under your spell, and I wish you could tell. I just wanna drink you up like I'm 3 days in the desert, no water. Drink you up. I've been thirsty the moment that I saw you, throw you down like a whiskey shot. When I'm loving you not, I just wanna drink you up, just wanna drink you. I
Yeah, it's just been.
So
Yeah.
Nathan, I'm assuming you'll be. It's even Stevens tonight, so you'll be a Blues supporter. Nathan, come from Wagga.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
it
a Blues
rugby league?
supporter.
Okay.
Is the game on tonight?
No,
No, it's next week.
we don't do the show when the game's on.
Well, that's what
Yeah.
I was about to say. What sick individual organised this for Origin?
Yeah, because Rossi's a Blues supporter, and Curly and I are obviously from originally. Well, I'm
Queensland.
originally from Queensland.
Yeah.
I'm in Adelaide now, but
Yeah. Oh, look, I think Queensland will still win. I mean, I know we thumped Queensland in the second game, but you know, it always seems to go the way of Queensland, doesn't it?
I hope so. If you play another half a footy like you did last time, we'll be in trouble.
Do you ever get sick of winning? Is that a stupid question?
No.
Look,
Origin was made for us.
No, yeah, Origin was made because of them, Nathan. I don't know. You might be too young to understand this, but what happened was New South Wales played Queensland in interstate competitions, and everyone who wanted to play rugby league properly moved to Sydney, and we'd play Queensland, beat them 46-12, and
with all our players.
Oh no, well they all live down here, right? They all live down here, and so what happened is that for a dead rubber one year when New South Wales had beat Queensland 2-0 in a 3 game series, we decided to have a state of origin where we'd let them have anyone who grew up in Queensland back. And that's where it all started. So Arthur Beetson played the first 2 games for New South Wales and the 3rd game for Queensland. Yeah. Like Artie actually, retired from rugby league but stayed in Sydney for a long time. He didn't go straight back to Queensland.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. But
it was to give Queensland a chance. That's why.
Well, they've certainly taken that chance and run with it.
And now they just want to take that chance back and go back to the old if they live in Sydney.